I think one of the things about not having children is that this seems to require an explanation. So people are always saying, when you first meet them, have you got any children? And then you say no. And then they look at you and they don't exactly say why not, but that is the unasked question. So usually I say, well, I didn't meet my husband until I was in my mid-40s and by then it was too late, which makes me sound like some kind of religious fundamentalist, not having children out of wedlock. But it's a lot easier than going into complex explanations about how you didn't meet the right person. But then in my mid-40s, I did get married, and that made me feel much more normal. And I wasn't so bothered about not having children. And my life was full of other things. And also other people's children were growing up. And people weren't quite so focused on what their children were doing, which tended to be the main focus of conversation. But then I was quite surprised when I got into my 70s and suddenly, or apparently suddenly, everybody was becoming a grandparent and the same kind of focus on children, and their lives being full of all the wonderful things that they were doing with their grandchildren. And it came up to bite me again. But I no longer regret not having children. I just see my life as having been different. And one thing about my life is that it has been full of children, many children. And I've been able to have very close relationships with those children that aren't anything to do with them belonging to me. I'm not anxious about them. I don't feel if they go on a wrong path that must be my fault. I'm not proud of them if they do something well. They are just my friends. And although I'm never going to be the most important person in their lives, which is what their parents are, I will be an important person in all of these children's lives. And that has given me a great deal of satisfaction. Cut!